It's time for the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Each week, Trading Stocks Made Easy demystifies stock trading and investing so you can profit big. And now, here's the host of Trading Stocks Made Easy, the wealthy investor, Tyrone Jackson.
Welcome to episode 63 of Trading Stocks Made Easy. I'm your host, of course, Tyrone Jackson. I always love the time that you and I have the opportunity to spend together, and I always try to make it chock full of information I think you can use. It's all part of getting that financial education and the power that you have to change your life. So today we're going to look back at what some of my most successful students had to say about what led them to the stock market, some advice that you're going to get from them, and we're also going to look at some stocks that I think you need to know about and some trends that are in play that I think will be able to make you money. So we have a lot to look forward to in episode 63 of Trading Stocks Made Easy. Back in a moment.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about how to trade and invest in the stock market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products. That's thewealthyinvestor.net/products and order the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success audio series. This easy-to-follow 5-CD audio series and manual will teach you the basics of how to buy and sell stocks, how to collect quarterly dividends for life, plus hidden income generating strategies like covered call writing and volatility trading. Start creating financial freedom right now. Get the financial education you need to get ahead. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products.
You know, one of the things I really love about having a podcast that's heard all over the world, and literally hundreds of thousands of people listen to this show and get advice and education and some inspiration at the same time, is every trader, everybody who decides to open their own online brokerage account has their own story. And it's usually a kind of journey that gets them to the Wealthy Investor Program. In episode number 44, we had a Traders Roundtable All-Star Edition. And the reason we called it the All-Star Edition is because these people really make great money. They make the equivalent of another salary. They're really bringing in another salary into their home. And that salary could be anywhere from $50,000 to $300,000 and just trading profits. So they really are all-stars. But just like you, listening right now, they had a story. There was a journey that pulled them into the Wealthy Investor Program. So now that they're having great financial success, here's what they had to say about their journey. One of the things I love is you guys all have such diverse backgrounds. I don't know if any of you ever thought that you'd be essentially clicking your way to wealth. Is that right? Did anybody have
It's unbelievable.
Yeah?
It's unbelievable.
Why is it unbelievable, Shubha?
You know, it's one of those things that until you do it and you start telling people about it that are close to you, I speak to my brother, my wife, they're like, are you sure this is legal? It's true. Uh-huh. And it's like, it just can't be that easy. It just can't be just a click of a button. And literally, that's what it is.
Right.
And, like everyone else in this program, I'm sure, I trade some time on my phone, I'm driving and I'm like, wait a minute, we have to pull over. There's a trade that I have to get out of right now to make some money and make some profits. So it's been really, really an exciting ride. And I still pinch myself today because the stock market is just so volatile and it changes and the environment changes. But it's an experience and it's a ride. It's like a roller coaster ride. But, if you really like that thrill, and, there's some parts of it that, really, really want to be steady. But, it's the excitement that really, the unpredictable nature that really makes it exciting.
Now, Jesse, you once said to me, because this is the other thing that I find so fascinating about each and every one of you, because we're not talking about, no commitment. You're all very committed. Jesse, you once said to me that on Sunday nights, you look over your portfolio and you decide what you're going to trade. I do.
I'm, kind with my background, and I'm one of these kind of precise people. So I lay everything out, and I know where everything is, and it's the only way I know how to do it. And so I spend time on Sunday, either in the evening or for early in the morning, and analyze all my trades and look at my portfolio and figure out what the week holds and where the problems are and where the fixes need to happen. So, I'm very disciplined about it. For me, it's like trading is it's a discipline. And I show up for it even when I've had maybe a rough day on the trade or the market does something really crazy, like that little recent drop we saw on Netflix. And I just keep showing up and just saying, no, like not to get all emotionally wrought or caught up in it, just like show up and do the work.
Well, you're doing pretty well financially off this little trading thing.
I am.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Yes. Have you rewarded yourself with anything? Some people buy houses or cars. Have you bought any shoes or...
I bought this really beautiful scarf from India.
Oh, very nice.
But for me right now, I'm trying to get to a place where I don't have to officially work anymore and I can actually just trade and live off of my money there. So I'm really into reinvesting what I make at this point in time. And I hope to... I hope to live like you, Tyrone, at some point.
Oh, well, I'll get you there. I'll put it to you that way. It's a lot of fun. Shannon, I don't know even if you remember this, but you said to me once, and you let me know if this still stands. You said, I feel like this is the reason I moved to New York.
I do remember that, and it absolutely still stands. I remember when I moved here, I knew that it wouldn't be long my parents were going to retire, and they would have the farm. They probably would sell it. What would we do with that? That'd be the money that our family would have. And I knew that would be coming in the future. So when I was first introduced to your class, I could see that in the future, and I connected those two things, and I thought someday this is going to connect to that. And so I knew right then, I thought, life gives you moments where you're like, how did I get here sort of thing? How in the world did I get to New York City from this country plains of Texas? Sometimes you just scratch your head and think, what am I doing here? And I had a moment like that where I literally thought, this is that. And one day this is going to really make a difference. So the difference between when I was trading with you originally, I just had a little money in my IRA. And learned what you were doing, what the power behind it was, and then I knew that someday I would have essentially the farm responsibility, and that I would come back and I would do it, do the trades, and learn the strategies to help my whole family. So, and that's exactly what's happened. So I knew the moment that happened, I wanted to come back and find you, find out where you were. It had been probably 5 or 6 years. I thought, oh gosh, I got to go find where Tyrone is. So I did, and you were so gracious to have me back, and I was so grateful to be back. And it has made a really big difference. I've had a lot to learn. I've found out that the market conditions have changed. I was so eager when I started again. I actually kind of jumped in before I came to class. I made a few mistakes. I was like, oh, it's a different world from when we first were there. So I've been working on those things and learning some strategies, taking it slow and easy. I'm definitely not the star pupil in class, but everything I've learned has really made a tremendous difference.
Now, when we come back after the break, I want to share with you a few stocks that I think you really should know about and a few trends that have been in play in the last 5 years in the stock market.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about how to trade and invest in the stock market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products. That's thewealthyinvestor.net/products and order the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success audio series. This easy-to-follow 5-CD audio series and manual will teach you the basics of how to buy and sell stocks, how to collect quarterly dividends for life, plus hidden income generating strategies like covered call writing and volatility trading. Start creating financial freedom right now. Get the financial education you need to get ahead. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products.
Now, I want to remind you that some of the stocks I'm going to talk about now, they are obviously going to change in the future, but I want to talk to you about why some of them are rising. And our world is constantly changing with all of this technology, but so much of it, as you know, is revolving around life and consumer spending habits online. So let's get to the first two stocks I want to talk to you about, which have just had monster moves in the last 5 years. Now, the first one is called Google, and they've recently changed their name to Alphabet, but the stock ticker symbol is GOOG. Now, this stock is really interesting because a lot of people, as you know, when we go looking for something on the internet, we say, I'll Google it, right? Which basically means I'll search on the internet. Well, what a lot of people don't know is how does Google actually make its money? And it really makes its money from advertising. So the next time you're doing a Google search, let's say, for example, you did a Google search on the Wealthy Investor Program. And if you put the Wealthy Investor Program in your search box, one of the things that you're going to notice is there are all of these other companies that come up as choices in what we call the middle of the page, which is called organic search. On the side, the top, and the bottom of the page that you've searched, advertisers can place links there, also known as ads. Google makes its money from selling ads or a specific type of ad called PPC, which is pay-per-click ad. So advertisers can run a PPC pay-per-click ad on Google under a variety of different topics that are germane to their website. Google actually makes billions and billions of dollars from search. Now, a number of years back, to expand their empire, they purchased YouTube. And YouTube also has a search function, or PPV, pay-per-view search function. And this enables the company to actually generate billions and billions of dollars. So as a result, Google has learned to dominate search on the web. So over the last 5 years, their stock has gone from a low of $330 to a high of $937. Now, let me ask you a question. If you are using Google online and you are not a shareholder, something is wrong, because you should be participating in the explosive revenue dollars that come from search. And the best way to participate is as a shareholder. So a lot of people who I meet who like investing in the stock market, when I say Google's shares were at a low of $330, they say, no, Tyrone. I don't want to own shares because, I could only get 3 shares at $330, whereas if I bought a cheaper stock, I'd own more shares, right? But there's a saying I really want you to think about right now. You see, in real estate, the idea is that you buy low and sell high. Location. Buy low, sell high, location. That's a general idea that if you embrace in real estate, you'll do well over time. In the stock market, there's another saying that we live by. We buy high to sell higher. You see, I don't mind owning shares of a stock that is of a higher value because I believe that those shares will be even higher in the future. Another way to state that is I believe that the revenue, and you hear me talk about this a lot on the show, the top line revenue is growing at this company. Therefore, that puts pressure on the share price to actually rise. So you see, I'm never concerned with owning shares over $100, and neither should you. Because when a company's share price actually hits over $100 a share, it attracts a lot of pension money and a lot of institutional money to the company. And that's what happened with Google. Now, any of you who've ever taken any of my option courses, you know that when the share price goes over $100, that is a great time to purchase a long-term equity anticipation security, also known as a LEAPS option. And a LEAPS option is a longer dated call that expires at least 1 year from now that acts like the stock in a compounded way as the stock price actually rises. You know, for those of you who are regular listeners, I like to trade LEAPS options. And then there are other LEAPS options I like to hold for the longer term because they act like a stock. They act essentially like a proxy for the stock. So you see, when I'm talking to you about wealth building, right, through stock market trading and investing, it's not simply just buying shares and holding them and waiting for what we call a $5 buy signal. It's learning how to use stocks and LEAPS options in tandem. So when that stock goes from 330 to 937, your account literally explodes in value. So what I have found is not enough people really talk about trends, understanding a story of the stock, and then a stock and option strategy that actually matches this stock that's already a higher price, and how you can use leverage to really blow up your account in 5 years or less. Now, most people use the term blow up, by the way, as negative on Wall Street, but I'm actually here using it as something positive. So I love Google shares, the run from 330 to 937, because there's actually a stock market strategy that goes along with that that's not talked about anywhere on the internet, but on this show, that really helps you have explosive growth. So if you learn a story of a particular stock and you follow its revenue, great things can happen. Now, the competitor to Google is a company that you may have heard called Facebook. Now, most people don't think of Facebook as a competitor to Google, but Facebook's shares have seen explosive growth from a low in a 5-year period to about $40 to over $170. Now, let's think about this a little bit more. I'm here to always reinforce to you that there is a trading and investing system in the stock market that no one else talks about. If Facebook shares have gone from, let's say, a low of 40 to over $170 a share, then there must be a leaps system that's going to match my stock investing system in Facebook. How does Facebook generate its money? Through online ads, right? There's over 2 billion users at Facebook, and advertisers can target those users for their ads based on your likes. So you remember when you signed up for Facebook, you told them something about you. You were telling them what you liked so that they could then sell your information to an advertiser. That's why you see so many things in your feed that are, or you're supposed to see so many things in your feed on Facebook that are consistent with what you liked, because you are targeted. You're telling Facebook, hey, send me ads on these things. That means you're more likely to connect with the advertiser. So Facebook's revenues are extraordinary. They're up to $9.2 billion per quarter. That's why the stock has run so dramatically. Now, let's think about Google and Facebook together. You see, they're both in the online search business or the online advertising business. More and more of traditional advertising is gravitating towards Facebook and Google because it costs less than buying a 30-second TV spot on, let's say, NBC, CBS, ABC, or Fox. You see, when you start to understand how the world is changing, then you and I can match a stock buying strategy, we could match a stock trading strategy, or we can match a stock leverage strategy like options. We can pair all of those together. So, you know, the name of the show is called Trading Stocks Made Easy, right? Right. So what I'm introducing to you, rather than buying some cheap penny stocks and hoping that they rise and you become a millionaire, there really is a system to growing your wealth as a stock market trader and investor over time. The problem is most people never discover a mentor or a teacher who can easily explain these concepts to them. And I realize that that's my place in the world, that I am your teacher. I can explain to you these concepts and trends that are in play. Hey, let's take a look at another trend that's in play right now, and it's in the credit card processing business. Now, you know as well as I do, if you want to buy something online and you have a $50 bill, there's no slot on your computer for that $50 bill. That, I think we can agree. That means that you're doing what? That in order to purchase something online, you probably need a credit or debit card. Now let's talk about two stocks, one that's a member of the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the other that's a member of the S&P 500. What's the first one? The first one is ticker symbol V, which is Visa. Now, whenever I'm doing talk shows or radio interviews, I always like to explain that Visa is not a bank. It is a brand that licenses its name to your local bank or credit union. Over the last 5 years, these shares have gone from $35 to an all-time high of $99. Now, the $35, as you know, is probably split adjusted. The stock did have a 2-for-1 stock split about 5 years ago, which made the share price cheaper. But from $35 to $99, how well did you do as an investor in Visa? Now, there's a little bit more to the story than I can explain here, but essentially they're in the credit card processing business, and Visa, the corporation, gets 3 cents of every credit card transaction worldwide every day. Plus, it pays a dividend. Plus, it's a member of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, let me ask you, because hopefully in this particular episode, you're starting to learn something. Is there a leverage strategy that can go along with share ownership? Of course. I could do the same thing over and over. You know, success in the stock market's about doing the same thing over and over and getting fantastic results. Einstein said that insanity was doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So if we flip that around, you and I know how to get fantastic results. Once we become disciplined traders and investors, we can see the same thing happen over and over and over. And rather than seeing our money grow the way it can grow in a mutual fund, if we can match a stock strategy with a leverage strategy, then guess what? You're going to have fantastic results when the market is bullish, when the market is rising. Now, who's the competitor to Visa? A company called MasterCard. MasterCard, once again, is not a bank. It is what? It is a brand that licenses its name to your local bank or credit union. Your bank or credit union issues you a Visa or a MasterCard. MasterCard, ticker symbol MA, has seen its stock price over the last 5 years go from $42 all the way up to $128. Again, is there a strategy that would allow us to get explosive growth? And the answer is yes. Now, how we mix and match these strategies may vary, but I'm trying to point out to you that intentional wealth and intentional growth of your assets requires a financial education. You simply can't learn that from just listening to a podcast. You can become acquainted with the concept, but you have to go someplace to study, and that's what I do. I teach people exactly how to do that. Okay? So if I were to ask you a question and say, hey, which stock should you own? Visa, that's gone from $35 to $99, or MasterCard, that's gone from $42 to $128, which stock would you choose? Now, here's where your mental game must shift. In the stock market, instead of choosing one winner in a particular sector, as a member of the Wealthy Investor Program, you learn to choose both. Tyrone, you gotta be kidding me. You mean if there's a sector that's really hot and sustainable and poised for long-term growth, I could own every stock in that sector? The answer is yes. So a lot of people say, Tyrone, how'd you become the wealthy investor? Because I realized when there was a trend in play and there were, let's say, 2 or 3 publicly traded companies that were benefiting from that trend, I can be a shareholder in all of them. You see, in the real world, we're taught to choose A over B. In the world of wealth, you are taught to own everything. Sometimes owning stocks for the long term is a little like Monopoly. What's the object of the game in Monopoly? Well, Monopoly literally means one many. That one person is going to own many or all of everything. So in Monopoly, right, most people want to own Boardwalk, Park Place, because that's where you get the most rent. Well, in the stock market, we can own all of the successful companies in one particular sector. Are you starting to see? So that means in the credit card or online payment sector, we could own shares in Visa and MasterCard, match them both up with a leverage strategy. In the area of online ads, we can own Google and Facebook, own the shares and match them up with a leverage strategy. And we want to own the dominant players in every single segment. So when you hear a lot of my students come on and they're talking about the success that they're experiencing, it's because they're learning a methodology and an approach that's not talked about on radio and television, that's only talked about in the Wealthy Investor Program. That's why they come on the show and they sound so happy.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about how to trade and invest in the stock market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products. That's thewealthyinvestor.net/products and order the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success audio series. This easy-to-follow 5-CD audio series and manual will teach you the basics of how to buy and sell stocks, how to collect quarterly dividends for life, plus hidden income generating strategies like covered call writing and volatility trading. Start creating financial freedom right now. Get the financial education you need to get ahead. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products.
Well, this episode has all been about learning how to buy high so that we can sell higher. Learning the tools that wealthy investors use to not just buy stocks and pray and hope that they go higher, but to match those strategies up with leverage. And when a sector is hot and these companies are participating with top-line revenue growth, In other words, we're choosing winning stocks. If we load our accounts up with those stories that we understand, guess what? We're going to have above average growth and we're going to get to wealth sooner. So I like to teach people my system, how to use it, under what conditions it works best. And when a new sector emerges, I'd like to notify you of that. Hey, here are 5 companies that are actually winning in this new emerging sector. So the key to being successful, or one of the keys to being successful in the stock market, is research. But I know that most people simply don't have the time to do hours and hours of research. That's what I do for my students in my online program and in my live classes. So hopefully you're starting to see that the wealthy investor approach really is an organized system that has been proven over time. Therefore, we wind up choosing and investing and trading in winning stocks, which is really what you want, right? You don't want to put your money into a stock and hope that it rises. You want the proof there that there's pressure on the stock, that there's demand on the stock to actually double in value. Does it always happen? No. We always get one stock. I won't name the name now, but there's one stock in my program right now that has been the dud over the past 52 weeks. So what do? We sell it, or we break up with that date and we move on, right? So there is a system that is out there. My advice for you is to start to learn that system. And there's several ways you can do it. Simply go to thewealthyinvestor.net, download the free ebook that I'm just giving you absolutely free to teach you about the tools that we use. Things like covered call writing, dividend capturing, because you need to be familiar with these things if you want to venture to be successful in the stock market. So my advice is head over to The Wealthy Investor and take the free ebook. You have absolutely nothing to lose at all. Get acquainted with this system. And by the way, if you've downloaded it recently, don't just read it once. Read it multiple times, because after listening to this particular episode, it's going to make sense. That's my number one advice to you, is get the free ebook. Now, my students, my all-star traders at the round table, they have their own advice. And this is what they have to say. I want to go around really quickly in about 30 seconds. Each of you, what advice would you give to someone who wants to be successful, either as a trader or as a investor, and maybe they're just a little hesitant or afraid? Let's start with Schubert and we'll go around.
Listen, this experience is so nerve-wracking. You know, you put the money in your account, you just sit there and you go to class and you sort of absorb everything and you take it really just step by step. And some people are going to leap, and some people are just going to just tiptoe into the water. I'm one of those people. I like to tiptoe, and when I made money for the first time in the stock market, it's like I tiptoed and the water was warm and I just jumped right in. So I think it's really just starting off in whatever's most comfortable for you, but you really just have to do it. And sometimes you have to go out on a leap of faith, and you really have to know that this is going to be your future and this is what you're going to choose to do. And the only way you're going to be able to make money is actually taking that first step. And once you take that first step and you make some money, you just won't even believe it. You're just like, wow, it's just this easy, Tyrone?
Yes, it is.
Just click?
Yep.
That's it?
That's all you have to do.
I didn't even believe the money was in my account and it was already there.
Yeah, because it's just data initially.
Just data, yeah.
Yeah. Marion?
I agree that it's easy, but it's also very difficult. And I think you have to put yourself in a safe environment. Unless you're some kind of, you have financial background or you're a math genius, I think it would be very hard to do it by yourself. It's easy to do, but it would be very difficult not to have some kind of support.
I think that's good advice. Shannon?
I think about whenever you have invited new people in, or people that are just joining the program, they're considering joining. And I always tell them, whether they're considering it's new, they're not familiar with the math, this is not something that's natural to them, I just say, you have to do it. You don't have a choice. You really must learn this. This is an education that you have to get. And, whenever you talk to your friends and family, if you do this, just be cautious how you discuss it with them, because they're not going to understand. And it's something you have to make a decision to push forward through. And it's determination, because you really, it's too powerful not to insist to learn it.
Very interesting. Jesse?
I consider it to be a kind of personal responsibility that here's something that's so important to your life. It's about money, which gives you all kinds of liberty and freedom and ability to do certain things. And why would you let someone else handle it just because you're not just taking a little bit of time to focus in on it and do it for yourself where you actually really know what's going on? And I'm also really in agreement with Marian. It's really nice having the whole class format because I always walk away from our weekends together and I'm inspired and enthusiastic, and I've talked to other people and heard what's been working for other people, what works for me, and so we share a lot, and so it's fun. It's a community and it's fun, and then I'm also doing something for myself in the same process and my family and everybody around me.
You have the power to change your life financially. There's no such thing as struggling financially to make ends meet when you have a financial education. The Wealthy Investor Program is here to support you in that regard. Your job is to take advantage of it. Hey, listen, this is Tyrone Jackson from Trading Stocks Made Easy. Thank you for spending this time with me. And as always, I wish you the best and happy trading.
You've been listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. While you're on iTunes, be sure to click the subscribe button and you'll automatically receive our next episode.